Prof. Dr. Ahmad Faris, Ismail, the Deputy Rector, Academic and Internationalisation, Associate Professor Dr. Lihanna Borhan, Director, Office of Knowledge for Change and Advancement, my colleague, Associate Professor Dr. Mira Kartiwi, CPD Deputy Director for e-learning. And of course, we need to hear from a representative for the students. So we have with us Brother Amir Nadzim, President Student Union. And as for me, I will be the moderator for today. My name is Farahidah Za'bah, and I will be representing the lecturers. No lah, I'm just kidding. Okay, so let's start with Prof. Ahmad Faris. So Prof, in the first RTL, which was the emergency RTL, you were the Dean of KOE. And for the second RTL, you are the Deputy Rector of the university. So I am sure that, so maybe you can share some of the major challenges faced by the university to cater to all the demands and sudden changes during RTL. Sometimes MCO, sometimes RMCO, students can come back, then suddenly students cannot come back. So please share with us, Prof. Thank you.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, how many minutes do I have?
Actually, you have 20, but I will tell you, you have 10. No lah, 20.
Okay, so can I share some slides?
Of course, you are allowed to share, yes.
All right. Okay, can you see the slide?
Yes, Prof. Starting the screen sharing, so boleh. Okay, berapa? Okay, Prof. No problem.
Okay, just 4 or 5 slides, that's all. Okay, you can see the slide, huh? Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wa mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, la haula wala quwata illa billahil aliyyil azim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. So first and foremost, we praise Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for allowing us to have this session in this afternoon, Friday afternoon, very sleepy time. So I hope that the participant will stay awake until the end, inshallah. Okay, so let me just start being the first speaker or first panelist. I guess my job is to put the context. So let me put the context, and then inshallah I think my other colleagues and other panelists will answer all the, so I'll give the problem statements, they will give the methodology as well as the solutions to the problem. So as shown in this cartoon here, this guy just said that you don't have to worry, mom and dad, about my future anymore. I just downloaded an entire college education. So we wish that it is as simple as that. Meaning that, of course, in the past, people are also talking about maybe there is a magic pill. If you want to become an engineer, you just swallow the engineering pill. If you want to become a lawyer, you just swallow a lawyer pill. So no need. But brothers and sisters, I guess there is no shortcut in education. Okay, especially when we are talking about preparing the future leaders, especially when we're talking about preparing holistic graduates. So I think there's no shortcut. So I think that's what I'm going to share you this afternoon. Okay, so let me take a few minutes to give you the context. Where are we now in terms of technology? So just to share with you, I was exposed to the internet in 1994 when I first started to use www.yahoo.com. That was the only one at that time. Okay, but then of course, for some of you who are very young, I mean, since you are young, you are being very familiar with the internet. But I think for people like me, I think I met with the internet when I already graduated from the university. But what I want to put in perspective here is the explosion or the exponential growth of the internet. It is says that in one of the seminar that I attended, one speaker was telling us that if you want to read everything that is on the internet, until you die, you are not going to finish, because there's so much information on the internet. So the one lesson from here is that the students in 2021, you have this access to the internet, but when I was doing my undergraduate, I do not have this access. In the other conference that I attended, one senior professors mentioned that if you want to be a good professor, okay, you must teach in the classroom so that the students will focus to your lecture. How are you going to do that? Number one, you cannot repeat whatever is there on the internet. So there's a challenge to the professor. You should not repeat, because whatever that is there already on the internet, the students can go and access it. So you must have this added value. So maybe the wisdom, maybe the your experience that is not in the textbook, that is not on the internet. And then to test whether your lectures are useful or not to students, or whether your lectures are interesting enough for the students. If your lectures is not interesting enough, just after 5-10 minutes, the students in your classroom will start to use their gadget. So now you want to teach, and then you want to make sure that the students will be with you throughout your lecture. So that is, I think, one of my challenge this afternoon, how to make sure that all the audience here stay with my lecture, except of assessing their gadget. And then, of course, the issue of library. In the past, universities, they are proud of their library. They will say that, okay, in our library, we had so many millions of books, textbooks, journals, okay? But I guess because of the internet explosion, then now the library now is in your pocket. You carry the library everywhere you want to go. You can search for any information wherever you want to go. Okay, so there is a setting. So if the information pocket of our students, so when we are going to do and teach the students in the classroom or in remote learning, okay, we have to make sure that the information is not there on the internet. I mean, otherwise they can go easily find out the information. If you just ask question, who is now the current prime minister of one country that even the student never heard, also they can find out. See, they can find out, not even more than 10 seconds. So that's why I think the lecturers must be aware about all this. And then when I first started teaching at IIUM, at that time, the students that were in front of me was, I call it cut and paste generation. Copy, cut and paste generation. So that was, I think, maybe some of my students are with me now. I mean, he's in 90s, early 2000. They are cut and paste, copy, cut and paste generation. But then as we move along, here comes the social media. See, here comes the social media where they can share everything. Whatever the joke that you do in class, before the end of the class, your jokes or your remarks or your statements are already viral on the social media. So that is the current scenario. I mean, we have so many social media where now people are responding to the likes and the smiling page on their social media platform, And then, of course, now come to the topic of our discussion this afternoon. We're talking about remote teaching learning. So the technology is there. Okay, so let me relate to you. They say that, I mean, according to the history, they say that the last time that the pandemic happened was about 100 years ago, 1915, 1918. So about 100 years ago. So at that time, there was no internet at that time. Okay, so they say that we are lucky this time around when the pandemic, are with us now for the last 1 year or so, and maybe I'm not sure for how many more months and years to come. We are now in the era of, internet, cloud, where you can share your resources instantly, where we can have this webinar. Just imagine, 100 years ago, we could not have this webinar, you know. So things are already changes. Talking about remote and teaching and learning, as a matter of fact, since 10 years ago or 15 years ago, we have been trying to conduct hybrid session, hybrid teaching. But for some reason, we got lazy and we say, no, we prefer face-to-face. So I think it's a blessing in disguise that this pandemic happened and suddenly we become expert in remote teaching and learning. Of course, with some of the challenges that we are going to talk about today. And as a matter of fact, now people are talking about post-COVID-19. What will happen to teaching and learning post-COVID-19? So they are still predicting that even after we have gone through all this, the teaching and learning will be different. I don't think we will go back to 100% face-to-face. Now they are predicting that maybe even after post-COVID-19, maybe up to 80%, 75 to 80% will be done online, and maybe just 15-20% will be done face-to-face, where you get to know each other, where you have to smile, where you share your wisdom, you know, experience, and that's. But the rest, in terms of information, in terms of textbook, everything can be found online. So I think that is the context that we are talking about. I think both the lecturers and students, I think we need to understand this whole issue. Okay, this whole issue, so that I think we are ready for these new things. So that's bring me to this teacher-centered versus student-centered learning. This one also we have been talking about for so many years. I remember even 15, even 20 years ago, we have been talking about problem-based learning. We are talking about student-centered learning. We are talking about, for example, here you say that student participation should be active, not passive. It should not be like spoon feeding. It's not like lecturer just spoon feed. Take this. Look at the cartoon. The cartoon say, I expect you all to be very independent and innovative, critical thinkers who will do exactly what I say. So there is a contradiction there, you know. So that's why we want to move from this one-way instruction, okay, to more active participation of students. So here is, it needs, it will take two to tango. Both the lecturers, instructors, teachers, as well as the students must understand this. Because, for example, if the student do not understand this, the student will be just waiting for instruction. They do not want to think. They do not want to come up with new ideas. Then I think this thing cannot happen. As well as the teachers, the lecturers also, I think need to change their mindset and be ready for this. And these are some, you can see the contrast, and we are comparing. Like, for example, knowledge. Instead of just one-way instruction from the lecturer, students also must co-create the knowledge. Here is where lecturers will learn from the students. Okay, the lecturer's role is just facilitator. The lecturers only be the guide. Provide. I think that's why the best example to this is problem-based learning, where the lecturers will give you the problem, okay, and the students in coming up or in solving the problem will learn and will discover knowledge and will share the knowledge, will add to the knowledge. Okay, so I guess, and then of course in terms of participation now, especially in this remote learning, I think we need to encourage students to be more active in the learning process. I already mentioned the role of a lecturer. Rather than become leader, authority, become facilitator, okay? As well as the role of assessments. Maybe if it is teacher-oriented, it's just like exams, tests. But now in the student-centered, I mean, we must look at multi-dimensional testing. Okay, maybe now people are talking about, even as late as a couple of days ago, people are talking about now maybe assessment can be done with mini oral exams. So that will solve many problems. Mini oral exam. I mean, every students, we will ask them to prepare something, and then after that we are going to have question and answer session, and then based on that, then we know whether so there is no issue of students will be cheating, sharing because it is one-to-one, or maybe you can have the oral exam in front of other students, and then they can vote. That sort of thing. So the other thing that I think we need to think. I mean, when we move from the traditional to this remote learning. Then instead of learning correct answers, we are talking about how to develop deeper understanding. So this is where I think the students must know that exam is not the goal. Passing exam is not the goal. I always mention in my class that the students should have this passion that if you get good grades but you do not understand anything, I think you should be very sad. Okay, but if you understand everything but you get poor grade, you must be very happy. So I think that is the concept. You must feel satisfied. You learn something. I master something, even though the lecturer give me D or C or whatever, but since I master something, that is the pride. Not that you get A but you know nothing. You got A, but you are using other people's idea. See, so I think that is the thing that we need to change the mindset. I already mentioned about the assessment should be multi-dimensional testing, and then of course now the culture of teaching and learning also should be more collaborative, supportive. That thing. Okay, I have only 5 more minutes, so I have to run now. So in this online environment, then we have to look at how students interact with content. Okay, so the lecturers provide active learning experiences for students that are meaningful learning activity plus reflection. Okay, I will talk a little bit more about the reflection after this. Okay, because I think this is more thinking skill that we want to develop. So number one is how students interact with the content. So here is we want to avoid student just memorizing. Student just go and surf the website. So how they interact with the content. I think there is another slide for this. Then how also in this remote learning environment, student interact. This is also another challenge. Lecturers should come up with a structure of the learning community and make clear to students how they should interact with others in the class. Okay, and also how the student and lecturer should interact. So the lecturers should create a framework for how they will interact with students during the learning experience. So these are the questions. These are the problem statements that I hope that the other panels will answer. So beyond for students' interaction with the course content, so beyond just reading, listening, or viewing lectures, what will the students actually do with the course content? So how, meaning that not only listen, but how can they do so in their homes? I think that is the challenge, or at whatever, or in the mahala. Okay. So that's why I always give this example when I was teaching one engineering subject. Rather than give them an object, I told them that go and take a picture of yourself. Now, okay, look at yourself now. For example, you can draw your body diagram, the forces involved, that sort of thing. So how can they interact with the content? So and then of course, beyond reading, listening, viewing lectures, what will students actually do in the course content? How can they do so in their homes? That sort of thing. So so there is the one thing. Like for example, after the students complete a course reading, so the lecturers must say, okay, can you write a summary? Can you reflect on what you have seen? Can you what are the main ideas? So meaning that the students, so so by doing this, then I think every student will give different reflection, different understanding, you know, or you can say that, okay, you can you make an infographic from what you have seen, or you draw a diagram, a process diagram, or you make what you call it video out of that. So that's something that you need to do. So for example, after, let's say, students attend a synchronous lecture, okay, so can the student now discuss what they have learned? So we have to provide that platform, you know. And how can the student show or draw or sketch the main idea, draw a mind map. So that's it, that sort of thing. So I think a lot of things need to be done. And then, of course, when we ask ourselves, how will students interact with other students in the remote learning environment? So beyond completing assignments and assessments independently, I want to underline independently. How will the student work together to ensure they feel like they are part of learning community and have the opportunity to collaborate, think critically, be intellectually challenged, and make meaning with others? And how can students work with others while they are isolated in their homes? So these are the challenges. So here is where we can have maybe discussion forums, we can have group projects, group presentations, think, pair, share, study groups, so many things. I think we have to provide that structure. Then the last one is, how will students interact with their lecturers? Now that lecturers are not in the classroom with the students, like normally when we have in the classroom, the student can always bother us, walk to the office together, now cannot. So how will students be able to interact with the lecturers? How might lecturers guide student learning while also being flexible and trying to accommodate different student needs? What assignment expectations do lecturers need to convey? What information do lecturers need to clarify for students? So these are the things that, meaning that now the lecturer also have a role to play to, you call it, to engage students more. You must have maybe virtual office hours where students can watch, at any time, or you can have a session where you are also asking the student what are challenges, problems, and how we can improve the class. These are some issue in this limited time. Okay, then of course, at the end of the day, I think we are now embarking in this OBE, outcome-based education. All right, and we discover that. Oh, sorry. Okay, so we discover that this is where the students' mindset is very, very important. Okay, because I think for us who are familiar with outcome-based education, we are talking about, at the end of the day, no matter whether it is face-to-face or whether it is remote learning, whether we achieve our outcome or not. I think that is at the end of the day. In fact, we are talking with professional bodies. I think they are quite flexible. They allow us to do many things. But at the end of the day, they will ask us, how do you achieve your outcome? So here is where the students have to have a good mindset, okay, with the help of the lecturers. Among the tips are, begin with and always keep the end in mind. Okay, meaning to say that the goals and the objectives of the courses and the study must be very, very clear. Like I mentioned just now, if the students are just thinking about passing the class, get good grades, I think that we are not going to achieve the end. Okay, we not achieve what we want to achieve in outcome-based education, in terms of understanding, in terms of thinking, in terms of so that's why point number 2 is the student also should work on upgrading their metacognitive skills. the thinking skills, reflection, innovativeness, and also, of course, coming out with good ideas, suggestion, and so on and so forth. And the student also should be aware that we should aim for holistic, well-rounded learning. Okay, so in the process, the student should become coachable and develop the skills of self-assessment. This is very important. Like I mentioned, the student must satisfy with what they learned. They must have this discipline, plan, and manage their study well. Okay, so that they can, on their own self-assess, their understanding, what else need to be done. I think in this remote learning environment, I guess the maturity and the discipline of students are very, very important, because I don't think one size will fit all. Not all students are the same. Okay, because I know that some students, they are very proactive, very dynamic, and sometimes they are not only waiting for the lecturers to provide them with the material, but they also go around and search for the materials all over the place. So here is the next point, where the student should take ownership of the learning, okay, and focus on developing authentic real-world skills. Okay, this is related to, especially there are many surveys done asking the companies, the industry, what type of skills or graduates that they want. Most of the companies, they do not put the academic content as the priority. They say that what is more important is, of course, they want a good student in terms of academic, but they must also have this authentic real-world skills in terms of leadership, communication skills, as well as creative thinking. Thinking is very, very important. I think if we can polish this skill, then I think our students will survive. And finally, of course, this opportunity to develop proficiency of being a lifelong learner also is very, very important, where the students know where to find or where to develop their knowledge further. Okay, so I think I will conclude with this Lihanna slide, this Dr. Lihanna slide. I think maybe she will talk about it more. At our university, we are now embarking on this Jatra academic framework, where the outcome should be, it's a transformative education. We're talking about humanizing education, okay, produce the future leaders, agents of change in this holistic environment, okay, holistic environment. So we hope that's why, what is related to our discussion this afternoon, even though we are doing remote teaching and learning, so we hope that we still should strive so that we can still achieve, our holistic graduates personality. So I think if we work together, staff and students, I think hopefully we can work together and provide a good atmosphere for this, inshallah. Thank you very much, Dr. Ada.
Okay, thank you, Prof. So when you post that 3 questions, that's actually in how to say, in line with the next question for Dr. Lihanna. Dr. Lihanna, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So Dr. Lihanna, I was told that you are going to share with us the result of a survey done by KCA as well, kan?
I have the survey, yes.
Yeah, okay. So the survey is given to both students and lecturers?
Yeah, but I'm only going to show the one by students.
Okay. So so basically we're going to know some information with regards to the quality of education provided by lecturers lah kan?
Yes.
So please share with us, Dr. Lihanna. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, thank you everybody for being here. Okay, taking time from our marking. Saya tengah pening ni. Alright, okay. So tak apalah, take note off from Prof Faris, but not going to be talking about SAF. Okay, a plug for SAF. There is going to be a webinar next Friday. He will be talking about SAF. Yes. Okay. All right. But what I will be talking about, let me share my screen. Tapi sikit je saya punya. Okay, let me share my screen. Because coffee is what I need every time now. Okay, so basically trying to just at this point sharing from the quality assurance perspective. Okay, taking this into, but of course, taking it not just from the organizational but quality assurance as a lecturer. What are we supposed to be doing? Okay, I also have 20 minutes ke? I have less time.
Ya, Dr. Lihanna, 20 minutes
Okay,
juga.
alright. Okay, sorry ya, saya kat luar, so bising. Oh, that's what that's my home environment at this point, because we have a lot of children also in classes at home. Okay, so the things that I'm going to be talking about would be basically looking at pedagogical consideration, which Prof Faris have touched a lot on, so that life is easy there for me then. Okay, a little bit on assessment and also talking a little bit on the intangibles. Okay, but so I will start it off basically sharing with you the results of the study that KCA and CPD did. Yeah, let me pull that out. I think it's in here. It's in here. Okay. Yeah. So this was from ERTL. Okay. So you can see we have actually shared this with everybody, but I know sometimes when we share this through WhatsApp, it gets lost. We shared it through IIUM announcement also, it may get lost, but you can see there, these are mostly undergraduate. I think Student Union has another set of data because they ask different kind of questions, because we of course were asking from different, looking at different perspective, and they were looking at different perspective.
Sorry, we can't see the survey.
You can't see the survey. Oh, sorry. Alamak. But it does say I am sharing. Oh, wait. Macam mana resume share? Okay. Dah. Boleh dah?
I think
wait.
Dr. Lihanna nak sharing slide ke nak sharing another screen?
Yes. Nanti saya stop sharing dulu sekejap ya. I will share again. Sorry. Alamak.
It's okay.
Betul bangai.
You can share screen tapi nanti nampak WhatsApp ke kan, email ke.
Patutnya mau share screen. Ya. Oh, nak bercakap sendiri. Okay. All right, there you go. Okay. So we have this. Okay, you can see, well, I think when we started, everyone was worried about the quality of the internet, which pretty much, at least for the students who answered, but of course we have to understand, because this was distributed via internet, so probably the ones who had no internet issues lah yang could easily answer this. Okay, but let's see. Okay, pretty much this one. Okay, the platform selected by the lecturer for assessment, most of them say yes, only a small percentage say no. But we also know that learning from the previous semester, there were issues with students going into these platforms that give them answers. Okay, we did have that issue. Okay, we have also change of assessment. So most of the courses, yes, we did, and this was facilitated institutionally by making this an easy thing in the Senate. So everybody should be, so that was actually one of the things when you talk about quality assurance, this is emergency, and that we needed to really move very, very quickly without sacrificing the quality of the education that our students get. I think this was the foremost on everybody's mind, regardless of whether they're students or whether, you know, they're academic administrators, or even lecturers, people like you and me. You know, we really do not want our students to be considered the COVID generation, so they don't know much. In fact, so maybe there is less face to face, but we should be able to come up with alternatives that would actually make them at least comparable, you know, if not even better. Okay, I will actually say that there might be something good in this the way, because if one Prof Faris said earlier, we talk about the students being independent, and that is something that you know, they were forced to do. Okay, and we also as lecturers, we were forced to let them be independent. I know a lot of us are worried because of our concern with our students. A lot of us still continue to do a lot of spoon feeding, even though we, you know, complain and say, alamak, sikit-sikit nak spoon feed, but we still do that. Okay. You know, so that's one of the advantage, inshallah, of the remote teaching and learning. Okay, so most of them did find that these changes help complete, and they did actually also say that the option, they would like the option, yes, 68% say, but there is also still a large percentage, 1/3, who really do not want the option for remote teaching and learning. Okay. Right, most of us were available, good enough. I mean, 2/3 are available, but this is not good. This 14% of us who are not, this 24% who are not available, and this one sometimes not available. So basically, you know, we still have almost more than 1/3 who are not accessible to our students the way we should. Okay, now that's the results. Okay, let me go back to my slide tadi balik, just so that we are on track in terms of where I want to be talking. Okay, so the pedagogical considerations there just now we did. I think we heard Prof Faris talk about the mindset thing. You know, we people like you and me who are in our, you know, okay, I'm going to go a little bit younger, people who are 40 years and above. Okay, I am already middle age. Okay, you know, I was with CPD before I went to Ahmad, and then before KCA. Right, one of the things we had been trying was actually have the lecturers really go beyond lectures. Okay, you know, we were talking about things like Prof Faris talked about, we had training on problem-based learning, project-oriented problem-based learning, and all these activities like think, pair share, the fishbowl, and all these student-centered learning things. Student-centered learning was a big thing, but we also have problems with lecturers already saying, what is the problem? Why can't we continue doing what we are doing? We survived as students, you know, and we have been surviving as lecturers. Our students, our former students went out to be great people out there. So what is the problem with how we have been doing things? No problem. It's just a question of expanding our repertoire. Okay, but also realizing that the students that we have now are different from the students we were, okay, from the students we had when, you know, 20 years back, 30 years back, 10 years back, okay, you know, there are different generations, so they live in a different world. We now have students in our classes, in our undergraduate classes, You know, maybe they were born slightly before the, technically not the digital native, but they probably do not remember not having gadgets in the hand. Okay? A lot of them would probably not remember that, not remember not having handphones, their parents, if not them, not they. Some of them maybe do not know how to use that rotary kind of telephone. Some may not even know how to use public phones, but these are the kind of students that we have now. So it's not that instructing them directly is wrong. It's just that we wanted them to expand the repertoire of teaching and learning, right? And then this requires this change in mindset, like what Prof. Faris said earlier. We had to, but it was a long, it was very difficult to do. And then suddenly you have the COVID-19 disruption. Okay, we are not even talking about using iTalim at that point. We have only a few people who were using iTalim, okay, or any other kind of online learning. And then suddenly, you have no option. You suddenly cannot go to class physically. Okay, they say what apa tu? Necessity is the mother of invention. So in a way, it was suddenly necessary for these people to go out of the comfort zone. And alhamdulillah, a lot of us were able to do that. I wouldn't say that we became from zero to hero within the course of the previous semester, but we learned a lot. That's why I had that action research thing there. I think a lot of us, CPD did a lot of things to help us as lecturers get the skills that is needed. Okay, and then the kuliah people, also the administrators, did a lot of engagement sessions to actually also change the mindset of some of the lecturers who feel like, why not? Okay, we're not even talking about people who think it is a hoax, but alhamdulillah, so far I haven't really heard our lecturers really going out on that note. Okay, so most of us then had to change and did try to change. And we can see at least, if we go by that previous findings just now, most of the students felt that the learning outcomes were achieved. But I think Student Union will share the findings that say there is also a lot of stress involved. Okay, that's from the student's perspective, but I will post it to say from the lecturer's perspective also there was a lot of stress there. Okay, but we have been going this way and trying to learn as we go along. It was forced on us, but alhamdulillah, we're able to continue doing that. That's why I have the action research thing. It's not going to be, I know we're in our second full semester of this, but we would feel that, I think we feel that there are things that are changing. Okay, I'm just going to just share with you, okay, my two classes. Kejap ya. Sekejap. Saya stop share dulu yang ni. Saya share balik this part that I want. I think it's not this one. This one. Okay. This one. Okay. This was my, we did a lot. This was part of my trial and error thing. This was my class. Okay. Doing this to help the Padlet. You can see that this was the first semester. It's a bit weird. So I had all these things. So we explored. That's the action research part, right? We explored a lot of things there. I think we also explore, all the different apps that are out there, alhamdulillah. Okay, and different people will be able to learn different things. But that is also part of the thing that we decided early on, that it should not be standardized. We have iTalim, we will promote the use of iTalim, yes, but this is one of the hikmah of this, that we should allow lecturers to explore what would be the kind of platform, the kind of approach, pedagogical approach that they are comfortable with, but they have to be accountable. Okay, which goes back, that's actually the part, the action research part is really about the being accountable, so that it is not, so we need to have, that was one of the things that as KCA we were worried about, how do we empowerment is really something that everybody suddenly has to force. I know some of the deans are not happy, okay, that they're not able to control and see what's going on in the classes. But this is also one of the hikmah of this, that they have to let go. They have to let go of this control, that they have to trust the lecturers. But part of this trust, this empowering lecturers, also comes with the accountability part. And you can see, actually, even though I said I'm not going to be talking about SAF, these are all part of what is in SAF. This empowering, this being innovative, being flexible, and also being accountable. So I'm just going to share one of the planning. This is this is the personal learning journey also for me. Okay. The previous semester, of course, I didn't have this kind of thing. Okay. We were talking about doing synchronous, asynchronous. So it wasn't really something that, but to be fair, that's why we call it emergency remote teaching and learning, because we didn't start out that it was going to be remote teaching. So this was for this semester. Okay, so for this semester, then, then I started with doing something like this, so that I could really figure out the SLT. Okay. Again, this is not something that is, and if you say, wait, I didn't get this from KCA. Again, because the idea here is to allow lecturers to come up with their own way, of being, of planning, and then also to be accountable for their decision. Okay, so this is just one way of doing things. This is not the only way for doing things. This is just sharing that we all have our own way. Okay, and okay, let me go back to this one. Okay, so we have that, the pedagogical aspect, having to change our mindset and also coming up with the skills. We're still going to do that. And then the assessment part here, okay, we're suddenly forced to think beyond the pen and paper thing. Okay, but the suddenly the authentic assessment that we were talking about, like doing role play in classes as part of pedagogy, but as also part of summative assessment, is suddenly not something that you can do. So there is also a lot of innovation that has to happen from the lecturer's part. Can how do we go beyond the normal assessment that we're doing? This also requires a change in mindset. A lot that first semester, last semester that we did, a lot of the lecturers, a lot of the kuliahs actually are very hesitant about not having final exam. Okay. Or the idea of having an open book exam is something so foreign to many. Okay. But for people like me, and like Prof Faris, who are American graduates, we were okay with all these other things. Okay. Because examination is not really something that we went through as in something the way we're doing it here in Malaysia. Okay, but yes, we had to challenge ourselves, go beyond paper and pencil. The kuliahs have to go into all the different things about administration. I know some kuliah who really had to fight with their lecturers because some of the lecturers feel that empowering and flexibility means being able to do anything that they want to do. Okay, not seeing the big picture that empowering and being flexible means you get to do what you want to do if you know why you are doing that. You know exactly why you're doing that, and you know that it's the right thing to do, that is the most appropriate to do for your class, and you are able to stand behind your decision, and you will be accountable for that. That it is not just a question of ikut saya lah. Okay, right? But it is ikut saya, but because given all the factors that I have considered, this is the way I should be allowed to do my assessment, to teach my class, to do my assessment, and I will be accountable. Okay, I will keep all the necessary costs. I will do what is necessary to ensure and to show that it is up to standard. Okay, that is the issue. The issue that everything has to be up to standard. Okay, it is not about just doing things just making do. We still need to make sure it is up to standard. And this is, those kind of things we can help with giving templates and things like that. But this part, okay, the intangible part, this is the part that I hope we will continue to be talking. How do we really focus? How do we really get this across? Content-wise, no issue. Yeah, I think content-wise, no issue. Like Prof. Faris said, the internet has everything out there. Okay, our job is really to curate one, but then we do something else. This is the intangible part. This engagement with our students, engagement between students, engagement student to teacher. How do we then, because this engagement is necessary, while we want them to be independent, okay, but to be engaged meaning that we really also want to know what's going on with our students, right? Independent learning doesn't mean dissociated. Okay, so there's this balancing act to be done, but if you actually ask students, a lot of students feel that RTL means a lot of work for them, which I actually would then tell my own students and also my children who are also undergoing this, in the other different kuliahs, that this is because you feel like you are doing more work because you are. Because you are now actually in charge of your own learning. It is not a question. You can no longer delude ourselves. Oh, we go to class, we attend class, we sign our attendance, so we are learning. Right? So whether our mind is actually in the class or not is a different thing. Our body is now in class. Now, you actually have a situation where your body is not in class, but your mind has to be in class. Okay? And that's tiring. Yeah? Okay? But it's actually, inshallah, something that is good. But how do we continue to be this role model when we are not seeing them face to face? I think this is something that I personally am grappling with. Not being able to talk to my students. I'm old school. Yeah, I like to talk with my students. Yeah, so not being able to engage with them. Alhamdulillah, there is now the social media that will be able to, that helps. Okay, but that's part of the things that we also need to keep thinking about, so that we will also be able to convey the values that needs to be conveyed. Remember, our job here is really not about giving content. Our job is really about having them think, be able to think critically about these contents, and then be able to come up with values that is going to be something that they will continue to have and to guide them. Good values that's going to guide them for the rest of their lives, inshallah. So this is with this big question, how do we actually do this? And this is something we at KCA also grappling in terms of how do we get the QA done on this. Okay, because if we go with the other QA documents that are out there, it's not there. A lot of universities are really just worried about the assessment and the pedagogy, the implementation of the content and the assessment part. But we don't talk much about this intangible aspect, and this is something that I think we should continue to be talking to each other about, all the different people in the universities, you know, or every one of us, okay, so that we can really be able to materialize this and really be leading the way for rahmatan lil alamin, insyaAllah. Ya, kita plug juga staff. Okay, so saya stop here. Okay, and I hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you Dr. Lihanna for a very, how to say, bersemangat punya sharing. Okay, so now let's turn to Dr. Mira, our iTaklim go-to person that provides most of the iTaklim training to the staff. The first ERTL must be very challenging time for the e-learning team, and Alhamdulillah, iTaklim is now much better. So you are invited to present to us the result of a survey as well, but now focusing on the impact of RTL to the students. So please share with us, Dr. Mira, on the result of the survey. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Dr. Aida. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahilladzi hadana li hadza wa ma kunna linahtadiya laula an hadanallah. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammad abduhu wa rasuluh. Alhamdulillah, Honorable Deputy Rector Prof Faris, thank you so much for giving a lot of insights, and it makes my job easier actually to shed some facts and lights later on how we have learned from the past experience. And also my colleague Dr. Lihanna, and my partner in crime atau in cry ya, Dr. Ada. My partner in cry, Dr. Farahidah from CPD, and my dear brother, Brother Amir, which is so happened to be my own students, my own FYP students. So he knows my style and my way of teaching in the class. I hope it will not go viral lah ya, Brother Amir. But anyway, so thank you so much for everyone and colleagues and professors for being here today. Let me just share with you some things that we have learned in the past. And honestly, I'm a bit shaking now because Dr. Ada mentioned I'm a iTaklim go-to person. It is not only me, actually, there's a team behind it. And then I would also like to acknowledge their contributions at the end of my presentations later on. Okay, so just a little bit on, so it is the slide shown okay? Just want to make sure. Okay.
Yes.
All right, thanks. Okay, so this is basically the agenda that I'm going to go through today. We're going to learn from the past, we're going to look at the present, and we're going to see what we can do in the future. So what we can learn from the ERTL. So last time it was emergency. The nature of emergency is that we try to make do whatever we can. We learn things on the fly, a lot of leeways, a lot of opportunities for innovate, a lot of opportunities to make things our own way, because that's how the nature of surviving. Okay, so on just to remind what we have in the early 2020, we have first MCO, which is enforced at 18th of March. But before that, actually, CPD have already planned for e-learning clinic, because we kind of anticipated. We kind of anticipated that MCO will actually take place. Okay. So when but we can see during the first session, which is on 16, the attendance rate is around 100 or 150. And then suddenly the news were postponement of semester comes in. Okay, so I think it was announced a few days after the first MCO. Then the remaining of the program, we don't see many enrolled in the training. So maybe some of the lecturers doesn't feel the necessity of attending the training because we will be going back to the class. But suddenly, it was announced. We have to still learn from what people have perceived of the remote teaching. So we conducted, CPD conducted, so this is the first data point. We conducted the ERTL readiness survey. Okay, so just want to show this is the first dashboard that that I created on that time. It was quite a hectic development process because we're still collecting data and data are still in, but there are a lot of issues with it doesn't really reach the students. So we engage a lot of all of the DDAs to help us to disseminate. So in total, we get about 15,233 respondents. And then as you can see in here, majority of our students have used e-learning platform. They felt ready, so 75% ready to use online learning. Majority are undergraduate, and then we do have some problem last time that a lot of students, quite a number of students from all kuliah actually not having laptop. So it was a surprise, but because a few of them comes from KICT, and so happened some of them are my students. So I called them personally. I contact them one by one. So I have 43 students last semester. I called each and every of them. So some days I called 3, some days I called 5. I called them each and every of them. Just want to know whether they do have devices at home. So some of them they do, but because of the MCO comes too quickly, so they left the laptops in Mahalah and they couldn't go back to pick it up. So then we get a better pictures of what is this number means, because I think what matters with numbers is that we need to know the story behind it. So I get the better story of what this no means, and then I believe Ahmad and the Sejahtera Council have created a way to that allows the students to pick up the devices from the Mahalah. And also there are some initiatives where university trying to facilitate the provisions of devices. Okay, so this is the first data point. The second data point, we realized that it will not be a good idea to just wait and then let the lecturers to innovate by themselves, as much as we want to give freedom, but I think some directions is needed. So on 27th of April, we created a program. So we call it as e-learning clinic 2.0. We invited some colleagues from Educator 4.0, which is the representative of e-learning reps from all kuliah. So there are a few volunteered. We have Dr. Ma'an, we have Dr. Mira. I think there are some more brother Shams from CFS. So we have quite a number of people that volunteered and share the experience on how to navigate online learning from their experience prior to ERTL. Okay, and of course it is not enough, but we try as much as possible to cover an extensive topic so that at least we can get somewhere, because we learn from other universities' experience how bumpy the experience is when the lecturers are just left autopilot. So so this is what we have, and then when we resumed the semester on 1st of June, it was quite a bit of disaster, because we didn't anticipate a lot of lecturers actually and students logged into iTa'lim. So we had a crash for 1 or 2 days, I think it was, and then we tried to recover. I don't mind to declare it here. Yes, we do have crash in the first week of ERTL, and then we ran a data point. We collected the response from the lecturers, and to my surprise, it is not all about it is not all about the technical aspects of ERTL that actually hinders the teaching and learning process. It was more to the implementations of the RTL process. So a lot of students complain about when it comes to asynchronous, a lot of students complain about managing time and time to complete the assessment, time to complete and the environment, as well as for synchronous, the durations. We find out that some of the class actually run for 3 hours in Zoom, which is requires a lot of a huge amount of bandwidth, and so on and so forth. So all this actually opens our mind that in terms of the support, we need to gear into some other directions as well. So we conducted, along the way, we conducted some webinars and whatnot to actually open or trying to shift the paradigms on how to carry out the teaching and learning process in during the ERTL. Okay, so how do we come? It is hard to actually share this dashboard, and exactly like Dr. Lihanna mentioned just now, when I disseminate these informations to some forums, I'm not sure how well it is actually shared to the level of that all staff are aware of the findings. The dashboard that Dr. Hannah showed just now, I prepared, I think a week or 2 weeks after the RTL ends, and up until today, some lecturers said, can we have some findings from the RTL? So it means that they are not aware of this dashboard, which is, I'm not surprised. I think sometimes things get lost in transmission. Okay, so, but anyway, so how do we improve in terms of disseminating the findings? I've created this infographics, which I also disseminated this to all kuliah. I hope students get this as well. This is actually meant for the lecturers. So these are the 5 common problems faced by students in RTL. So we highlighted the 5 most important things, which is managing time. So it means that we propose that maybe instead of having a short durations, maybe extend the time so the students can actually find a way to complete the assessment, trying to reduce the kind of activities which requires a solid bandwidth or a steady bandwidth or for internet connections, because some of the students are actually challenged getting the stable internet access, lack of quiet, some other issues related to the lack of quiet or private place. So in the case when it is synchronous and the lecturers would want the students to turn on the camera, making sure there's no noise background, for some students it's a little bit absurd to have that luxury. So I think we should also understand that it is not everybody have that environment. And also unclear communications. A lot of issues with the assignments is disseminated, but there's no clear instructions. I myself learned from all this feedback from the students, and I try to improve it every semester, not only during the ERTL, but also now during the RTL. I try to learn from whatever feedback that the students put in the survey, and I mean, like to my knowledge, if we try to confine things that it comes from students just want to make things easy for them. I don't think it is all true. Some of the feedbacks are very constructive. Some of the feedbacks are very insightful. So I think this is something that perhaps we need to have a forum that how do we turn this constructive feedback into something that is help us to have a meaningful teaching. And also feeling disconnected from lecturers and other students is also another issues that we captured during the trial ERTL. So at the end of the semester during the, so this is what Dr. Lihanna showed just now. So I created this, as I said, after the ERTL finish. Okay, so as you can see, the numbers of the students is actually more than the trial ERTL. But what is interesting to show you is this one, the numbers. I'm not sure whether you can see it clearly. The last one, which is here, the numbers is actually decreasing as compared to the readiness. Okay, so the readiness is about 75%, but at the end of ERTL, some students getting more skeptical about remote teaching. So there's something that we have to learn from here. So I try to correlate whether this is actually related to the certain discipline, and apparently yes, so certain discipline, certain domain rather disadvantaged by the approach, perhaps because of all of us is actually trying to learn on the fly, which is we haven't get time to really adjust and package the teaching into something that is meaningful for online learning. Okay, so what can we learn from RTL? From RTL is a little bit different because we kind of anticipated this, and we have learned from the bumpy road that we have to go through during the RTL. One challenge is that we shorten the durations of the week. So some of the students felt that this is a bit tough, not a bit tough, this is tough. So I have gone through the feedback from the students that from the survey that we distributed today, and alhamdulillah, I think in less than a day, I've got more than 800 response. So thank you so much to all the lecturers as well as ISU, Brother Amir, who helped to disseminate this survey. And inshallah, I will try to share these findings because I think it's too early to share it when it is still 800. I would suggest that we wait a little bit for longer until we get much more better response rate. And I'll be more than happy to share with everyone, inshallah. But yeah, so this is what I want to highlight is that in this RTL, still we are having a lot of technical difficulties with iTa'lim. We're trying to improve from time to time, but we didn't anticipate that on the first day of our RTL, more than 8,000 students actually trying to log in. So we successfully crashed again. Alhamdulillah, we learned from that. So everybody is excited. So I think we have to anticipate that when the first week, when everybody is still in the mood to go to iTa'lim, make sure that we prepare for 20,000 rather than prepare for 2,000 as what we have seen from past semesters. So what we can, another things that we can learn from here is that on the dashboard, I prepared a dashboard for iTa'lim request during the final exam. And then I came to realize that a lot of lecturers actually have exams during the 12th week. Okay, so this is some of the feedback that I gone through just now. A lot of lecturers actually having final exams during that week, and a lot of assignments also during that week. So some students are kind of anxious on which one that they have to prepare first. So this is something perhaps for KCA to take in, to look into account on such issues, whether it is possible as much as we would want to have a lot of opportunities for lecturers to innovate. But I think some constraints need also important to be considered. But what I want to highlight from here is that having this dashboard, having a lot of transparent data available, it gives us a lot of opportunities to learn from the experience. So for example, from here, from this dashboard, I can see the first day of the final exam, we have a lot of issues with students getting access. It was very slow and whatnot. And we go through a lot of parameters in the server, and we looked at, we miscalculate some issues. We thought that a lot of lecturers will use quiz. When we check, rather than access to the database, it was to the file server. Means that a lot of exams were actually in the mode of uploading files into the server. So this is something that we have missed, but alhamdulillah, in the third day, everything goes back to normal. So we put some interventions on the system just to make sure that we provide more capacity for file submissions. And then, as you can see, in the fourth day onwards, it is a rather smooth, and yet we still have a lot of files submitted, and then a lot of quizzes, a lot of exams actually conducted in iTa'lim. Okay, so what have we learned from RTL? Something that for CPD to take on is that we have to have a continuous training and development for academic staff. A shift of paradigm, which is the two panelists have mentioned earlier, it is a must. Change is inevitable. And also beyond the change in paradigm, I think we need to equip the lecturers with a skill to develop the content for face-to-face. Maybe you can distribute the lecture notes, and that's probably it. But when it is an online learning where the lot of asynchronous learning happen, then the content needs to be changed. The process of how we deliver the knowledge needs to be changed as well. And also how we look, a shift of paradigms also need to be implemented on how we look at assessment. Success on learning needs to be redefined. So this is how we can embark on this change by continuous training and development for academic. On the other hand, for the students, we've been taking things for granted. All this while, we thought that when the students have been exposed to online learning means that they are okay with independent learning. But again, much of the feedback is on the time management, the amount of assessment that been given is too much work. In a way, it is true because some of the lecturers apparently miscalculated the amount of time that needs to be given in terms of how much time for assessment. So I think we need to recalculate the SLTs and whatnot. On the other hand, we also need to provide some technical. We need to provide some training for technical know-how again, which we took this for granted, thinking that they are technical savvy. It is also happened for online learning, which is apparently not. Some of the students actually share in the survey that they're having difficulties on submitting the assignments, especially when the lecturers use a different platform, many platforms. So some students will have to juggle morning in morning in iTa'lim, afternoon in Teams, and then late afternoon in Google Meet. So juggling all those platforms, learning many platforms are quite a challenge for many of them, especially for certain domain. Last but not least, what can we do to improve the situations? Okay, so I believe the first one is very much for KCA, but also for CPD to prepare on what kind of trainings that we need to provide, and then what kind of assessment. This is the second one is something that is very interesting because during this RTL, I liaise with a lot of kuliah which have a very good preparations on exam, on online exam. So some kuliah, for example, Dr. Latif from Kuliah of Science, I'm very thankful for this kind of cooperations that he give updates on daily basis on how many students actually facing challenges, what kind of challenges. Dr. Pa from Kuliah of Science as well. So Kuliah of Science have their own exam team. Kuliah of Medicine, Dr. Soraya is here, Dr. Hazulin. They have also a good team, IRKHS, Dr. Aini. So some kuliah are very, very well prepared in terms of making sure that everything is in place, and they liaise closely with me. So I know what is the challenging that they have to go through, and then I know what kind of interventions is needed, what kind of support is needed, and it makes a lot of work easier. And I don't see a lot of issues from many of the kuliahs that really take this planning into account properly. And also the support for mental health, something that perhaps it's a little bit taboo for us to discuss, but I think this is the reality. Students are challenged with being alone, learning individually at home, where none of our other friends can be contacted. So this is something that perhaps we need to also look into account. Awareness and training for promote innovativeness in teaching and learning. Just now, Prof. Faris mentioned about the assessment. I experiment, so I try to innovate on how we can learn from students. So I change, instead of typing reflections, I ask them, because many of them they're very active in social media. So I asked them to create a 3 minutes reflections video, and mashallah, I think compared to the reports, this is more meaningful, more expressive, I really enjoyed watching each and every 48 students doing 3 minutes, some of them more, but I really enjoyed watching this as compared to honestly reading or going through some reflections on the paper, because sometimes some students are very having difficulties to express their ideas in writings. And what are the upcoming initiatives? So there's again, like what Prof. Faris mentioned just now, there's no way for us to U-turn. Blended learning is the national priority, is the shift 9 in Malaysia national priority, national agenda for that we have to embark the blended learning. And it's not only blended learning as what we know, like 1732, one course content, one course information, 7 course content, 3 activities, and 2 assessment. But we should look at beyond that. We should look at the quality of the content. So the PTG, the new term is PTG, pembelajaran teradun gantian, is more focusing on the quality. Whether do you have activities? Do you have any online activities? Do you have any assessment? How do you implement the assessment? So this is what is needed for our future. So we need to look at quality rather than just tick on 1 course assessment, tick on 7 course content and whatnot. And another thing that we would want to have in CPD, we want to look at the wakaf ilmu. This is actually the other universities have been doing this, and it's actually an initiative from UNESCO on open educational resources, OER. But I think our spirit should be different. Unfortunately, IIUM doesn't have OER. So when I was asked yesterday by the ministry, do you have OER? I was like wondering, do we have OER? So when I asked the previous CPD, they're already planning for it, but unfortunately it was not materialized. So it is my amanah in this next 5 months to make it to materialize that, and hopefully we can manage this. We can make it happen in the wakaf ilm spirit. Okay, so what the OER does actually, instead of you put in YouTube as an unlisted, we can actually post in one platform where everybody, all universities, everyone basically in the world can access your course content, anything that you would want to wakaf, anything that you would want to share without any need for acknowledgement. Okay, so the nature of wakaf, you give it and then that's it. So a lot of universities have done this in Malaysia, and MIT actually have done this a long time ago, and you can actually look at the enormous number of resources that they shared to the world. I think we can do this, because Islamic universities should have been doing this a long time ago. And next is handheld coaching. I realized that when it comes to training, some lecturers are very shy to ask questions. So what we've been doing in the past few weeks is that we have been having handheld coaching. I'm not sure whether some of the colleagues are here. So I have a one-to-one kind of sessions with the lecturers where we actually transform certain things. Like for example, some lecturers would want to have quizzes and whatnot. It is, some people said it is time consuming because I have to help one by one, but for me, no, it's rewarding because I learn so much from the process, the learning process, which we can then generate into something that can be class-based. And last, this is actually the portfolio of Dr. Iza and Dr. Ada, maybe in CPD, Dr. Ada, yeah. So we're going to have Let's Talk. So Let's Talk is like a TED Talk kind of thing, where we have about 15 minutes on how to inspire in teaching and learning, and we need to change. So this is the machine to drive the change. We need to change. At least we should be inspired to change. Last but not least, I would like to thank you, everyone, for your support. I would like to thank all the colleagues who make it possible. I would like to thank the dry office, KCA, Ahmad. Sometimes it is not easy to work together, but I know, and I'm very difficult to work with sometimes, but I really thank you. Thanks all of you. I still have 5 more months, inshallah. I will try to make sure I have a meaningful, smooth landing. Yeah, I couldn't thank you enough because I don't have this opportunity to thank everyone. So I would like to take these opportunities to thank everyone for all the support, including the students. MashaAllah, ISU in the first few weeks of this RTL, the Education Bureau contacted me and asked me personally what can the students help. MashaAllah, it's a very meaningful, and I truly grateful for that support. May Allah bless all of you, and jazakumullah khair, barakallahu fikum jami'an. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam, Dr. Mira. Thank you, my partner in cry. My partner in cry. Okay, so the reflection video is actually a good idea. Maybe I will use that for next semester, Dr. Mira. Yeah. So now, yes, I'm sure all of us here are looking forward to hear from the next panelist, Brother Amir Hazim. So you have heard all the comments given by the other panelists, and I'm sure as president of IIUM SU, you have worked closely with the students and the management of the university, kan? So the result of the survey, does it really represent what the students actually felt? Can you comment on that, Brother Amir?
Alright, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, thank you to Dr. Ada, the moderator, Prof. Faris, Dr. Lihanna, and Dr. Mira, fellow panelists. Thank you for inviting me to these sessions. I'm quite nervous actually because I'm the only student here, and I think I will I will share slides on the results of the survey that we did recently and also previously during ERTL as well. All right.
Hello, can you hear me?
Can you see the slide?
Yes, we can.
All right. Okay. From the reports, we have several surveys done based on to get the student response on the ERTL and RTL. So basically, this is the previous reports prepared by IIUM Student Union Academic Council. So IIUM Student Union Academic Council is basically a council under Student Union Education Office in collaborations with all kuliah-based societies, basically combining from Gombak campus, Kuantan, Pago, and also sometimes we involve CFS students as well in our surveys and also in our initiative. So, and other than this, we have others surveys and also reports we send directly to Sejahtera Council and sometimes to the Office of Deputy Rectors on the result of the survey and on the response from the students itself. So from all the surveys, we got a total numbers of 12,452 responses from Gombak, Pago, Kuantan, and CFS students. Okay, so the issues related that we receive constantly in these surveys. So basically, if you say like experience on e-learning or remote teaching and learning, from me personally, myself, I don't experience that much because I think I experienced only half semester, only the semester 2019-2020, because after that I'm on my internship and currently I'm still on my internship. So that's why I don't experience that long. But then I still follow up with all the students and all my fellow friends on the current situation. And the major issues is basically on the adapting to the e-learning. So basically earlier, during the earlier surveys from Dr. Mira, they said like they're prepared, they're ready to do online learning back on March 2020. But then after they faced the real emergency remote teaching and learning, then they know the main problem is adapting to that. For me, as a KICT student, it's not that hard to adapt fully online learning because KICT have like exposed the students for online week for at least 1 week every semester. So ICT students, it's not that hard to adapt. But most of the students, other than ICT students, they tend to hard to adapt on the e-learning situation as well. Okay, so other than that, for the second problem is basically devices. So from the survey, 13% does not own at least a laptop or computer at home, not personally, but at home. So that's around more than 1,000 students doesn't have any laptops at their homes. Okay, and then the rest at least have one laptop, computer. But then from the 87% of those who have a laptop or computer at home, 26% need to share devices with the family members. Basically, throughout the pandemic, we understand that this pandemic doesn't only affect the students, but affect even the lecturers, administration staff, and also everyone in the world. So everyone need to go for online, and then everyone will need to use these devices. And even we have received several reports, personally contact us through WhatsApp, through calls, and sometimes email to us that they request for us to discuss with the management on to at least reduce, at least assist them. For example, providing maybe loan laptop, for example, they request, because they need to share one laptop with other siblings, and also sometimes with their parents as well for online medium. So 26% of them need to share with their family. So this is quite high number of students that need a laptop assistant. So Alhamdulillah, under IIUM Endowment Fund and ODRS-DCE and also STAT in collaboration with IIM Student Union, we managed to assist and giving free laptops to, currently, if I'm not mistaken, 250 plus students. But as of now, the data, there are still 400 plus in the waiting list. So there's still many students still have problems in the, having devices for online learning itself. So next is it's internet accessibility. So, and based on the surveys, 30% have insufficient internet connections to join class. So basically, those, this is specifically those who live in rural or suburban area, where they can get that internet connections, but then it's not that good to go for online learning, especially to go for online conference with and basically like web. Like right now we are doing, which is you need to turn on the camera. So there are 30% that have insufficient internet connections, and 12% of the students convey that they need to go to the nearest cyber cafe for internet and computer access. For this, I have a personal experience of my friends where at one time I've urgent matters to discuss with him, and it takes him almost 1 week to respond to my WhatsApp. And I asked him why. Basically, he said that he need to go to nearest town to get the internet connection. So basically, at his home doesn't receive even 3G. So this is one of the problems of internet accessibility, and this is why we IIM Student Union fight for students to return, to allow students to come back, at least for those needy students to be back in campus for online learning. Okay, it shows that 1/3 of the respondents are in need of technical supports before they can enroll in online learning. Right, next is basically based on survey as well, the financial difficulties. First is to subscribe to internet. So basically, previously it's about the quality of the internet. So now it's about the having the internet itself. Some of the students just subscribe only, if I'm not mistaken, some of them only subscribe for 5 gig a month, and some of them even just subscribe for basic internet, only manage to get for WhatsApp and all those applications that use low internet. Okay, so they need to have financial difficulties to subscribe for a plan that offer higher quota and higher bandwidth, and sometimes they need to change plan from one telecommunication company to others because to suit best their area. Some of the area DG is the best there, and then Max is not covered at all, and some of the place Celcom is best, Maxis is good, but then DG doesn't cover at all. So to change plan is a bit difficult for them, because because not all telco provide a good price for them to subscribe to. And the second one is basically to survive. Many of the students requested us, for those in campus especially, wanting to go for a part-time job, because during this pandemic, everyone is affected. Even their parents, some of the students' parents even lost their job during this pandemic, and they need to also support their family and also themselves to face these situations. So these are the basically three that I want to highlight, 3 or 4. Basically, the first one is about the adaptability. So this basically the most highlighted issues in the student and the survey from the students themselves. Okay, so these are some of the suggestions moving forward for online learning. Basically, we are looking to have that even longer online learning, and yeah, even this MCO, even though it will be the news said that it will be end, the MCO will be end, but then there will still be like PKPB and so on. So there are still constraints from the student. So for this, permission for a certain group of students to return back to campus according to SOP, basically 48.2% of respondents preferred to return to campus. This is, sorry, typo there. So in March, to access the facilities provided by university. Because currently, those who doesn't have laptop, they want to use the computer lab in IIUM. Previously, before MCO, they managed to do all their assignments. Basically, first they go to computer lab, and second is sometimes they borrow it from friends to do their assignments. But now during pandemic, everyone is at home. It's hard for them to do all those things. So even though if they're on campus, there's still a restriction on, like, for example, to go to computer lab, there's still a restriction here in campus. So this is some of the problems. Okay, lots of the respondents are among graduating students who need to have a good and continuous access to internet, library service to those, and completing FYP. So basically, certain groups, some of them is like final year students, because they will be having FYP. And right now, if I'm not mistaken, Kuliah of Engineering, those final year student, FYP students, currently Kuliah decided to extend the submission of FYP until the end of February, if I'm not mistaken, due to this constraint. They cannot go to the lab to do their FYPs, to do their projects. So these are some of the problems that we can solve with these solutions. Next is consideration by university on the reductions, tuition fee, and for activities, student activities, and mahalah fee for students who decide to stay at home throughout the RTI period. So like what I've mentioned just now, one of the problems from the students is basically financial difficulties. So this is average 58.9% of students are coming from family with income below than 4,000. Therefore, substantial consideration regarding this matter has to be made by the university in order to lighten the financial burden of the students. So during this pandemic, those students tend to use more money because of like internet connections and so on. Basically, previously they might only spend around 30 ringgit a month, but now maybe 50 to 60 ringgit a month for the internet connection. But Alhamdulillah, inshallah, in the future, inshallah, before in the next semester, IIUM Endowment Fund have approved around 150,000 ringgit to IIM Student Union to manage Student Union Data Plan Initiative for the students. And inshallah, we will be giving them earlier next semester, and hopefully it will also reduce the burden from the student to the student as well. Okay. Next is financially assisting needy students for stable and good internet access. Okay, I have covered just now. Basically, Alhamdulillah, IIUM and under Endowment Fund and also RSDCE and also the management have agreed on these matters, and Alhamdulillah, inshallah, in the near future we'll be solving this issue, inshallah. Not to say we can solve 100%, because currently we only have agreement with one telecommunication company. So But then the problem comes when those areas doesn't have a good coverage for that specific telco. So it will be a problem for the student. We give them like unlimited data for free, but their place doesn't have a good connection. Still, they cannot do an online learning from their home as well. So inshallah, we are looking forward to have a good engagement with other telco as well for these matters. Right, and next is adjustment of course outline and for online learning. So out of 9,000 out of all the students, 9,000 that response, and a total of 7,000 voted for adjustment of mark distribution and workload for online learning. So recently I received reports from students. First is basic on students during examination period still receive assignments that they need to submit within 2 days. So within examination period, they have exam to be done, they have studies to be done, but then they still receive what I call assignments and also assessment to submit. Okay, and other than that as well, with regards to recent issues from Kuliah of Engineering on certain subject where the lecturers for online learning, where the lecturers only provided videos coming from YouTube to the students and from different source. So basically for one topic, from three, for example, from, if I'm not mistaken, from 3 different sources using 3 different techniques. So the students quite confused on what to use and what to apply on their examination and also in their daily life. Okay, so this is what I'm not saying that we need to like reduce the grade to get A maybe from 70 to 60. No, we just need to adjust the how we distribute the mark, how the workload being given to the student as well, and so on. We understand that this distribution workload are important for the qualifications of the certificates, of the degree certificates. For the degree issued by the university like valid to outside. So this needed a further study maybe to make sure that the best course outline will be given to the students, and also it will to ease the lecturers as well. Okay, next is a synchronous class system for students throughout the pandemic. For us, student union, we would like, it's not like we want to 100% asynchronous, but then we would want to like is put an encouragement for asynchronous class system, because like previous problems, most of the students cannot access the synchronous session because of the several problems that been stated, data connections, and also Dr. Mira, Dr. Lihanna also have mentioned with regards to the conditions of the surrounding itself. So maybe we can like encourage on the synchronous class system for students throughout the pandemic itself. And inshallah in the future, we'll, like Dr. Mira has been said just now, blended learning. Okay, and last from SU, basically specific training for students and lecturers for e-learning. So basically, we can see like on Dr. Mira's presentations on the survey earlier during March, when they doesn't know anything about online learning, they said they're ready for online learning. But then when they face the real situation, they could not adapt to it. So, but up until now, many of the students still cannot adapt for online learning yet, fully adapt for online learning yet. Okay, so as a specific training for students as well need to be done. For example, on how to use all the platform available, iTa'lim, for example, and also like IIUM subscribes to Microsoft Azure, Microsoft Teams, Words, PowerPoints, and some of the students still doesn't know on that they have official IIUM email that they can use to access 1 terabyte, if I'm not mistaken, of cloud storage in IIUM, in Microsoft OneDrive. So this it doesn't need to be like live sessions. You can be like pre-recorded, and we need to expand the accessibility to all the students as well, and to make sure that they are more prepared than before for online learning. To say that they will 100% prepared, I don't think it's possible. And because of these surveys, basically, like Dr. Lihanna also mentioned, that this survey disseminated through online, and still there's many students that doesn't get this survey, that doesn't get to express their concern, their constraint that they have. Okay, I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Brother Amir. So we have heard from all of our panelists today. We don't have much time left. Actually, we should finish at 4:30. So I would just like to open the platform for 1 or 2 questions from our participants. If there is any question, anyone? Nak cari gaduh dengan Brother Amir ke? Tak ada? Tak ada. Actually, I do have a question. I think most of the students are asking about this for Dr. Lihanna actually. From the results of SFS, normally if the lecturer has a low percentage, what is the action taken to that lecturer, or what is the flow actually? Those are the questions raised by students in the social media lah kan.
Okay.
So can you please share?
Okay, ERTL last semester we didn't have SFS because I think that is a fair thing to do because the lecturers didn't start. Kan? We
agree.
Having to do ERTL. So,
Yes.
but we had that survey lah to help us see what we can do. This semester we do have SFS. So as per the SOP, so lecturers who achieve below 80% will be called by the HOD. Intervention will be made. If 2 semesters in a row below below 80%, then CPD will step in. Yeah, CPD kak. Ya, awak.
Ya ke? Oh, okay. So kita orang tai chi balik, kita pass kat Prof Faris lah. Okay, boleh Prof Faris. Okay, so anybody else has question they would like to ask? Macam rasa nak share, berkongsi perasaan ke? I'm looking at the YouTube channel. Dr. Atia is asking about data for the RTL this semester. I think the survey has just been share yesterday kan. So not much info yet. So maybe we have to wait for that data first. Other than that, tak ada soalan.
Yeah.
So
we will also table the SFS next Senate.
Oh, okay.
Baru. Yep.
Okay. So I think for the other panelists, any other comments you like to make, Prof Faris? Or you are the first one, then you have to listen for another 1 hour. Are you okay, Prof? You can.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. Okay, I guess.
Last comment.
Maybe last comment, conclusion. Everybody is saying, we are also in what you call it, learning curve. We are also learning. Everybody is learning, not only the student, also the staff, the administration. We are also on the learning curve. But Alhamdulillah, I think we have at least reached some level of understanding, and Alhamdulillah, I think we praise Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala that this semester is over. So I guess it's a good time that we take this breather before the coming next semester to reflect on what we have done, each lecturer, each course, each kuliah. And I guess we can also have more sharing session like this. Like Dr. Mira mentioned, some kuliah are very advanced, some other kuliah are still working very, very hard. So I think we can share the best practices. And of course, there are also some issues that we are still trying to sort out. That one also, I think we need to have further conversation, especially what Lihanna mentioned about the values, how we impart the values into our students, and how, for example, we maintain our intangible thing, But I guess all in all, I would say that, I mean, looking from Brother Amir punya data pun, meaning to say that we cannot just convert the conventional course outlines that we do normally face to face to just convert, use the same course outline. Maybe we need to customize, we need to, I mean, improvise, make it more relevant, and maybe especially in the assessment. I mean, because students still think about examination, numbers. You know, I think we have to go beyond that. I mean, we have to look at more on whether there is this learning process has taken place, and whether, I mean, how the students should demonstrate that they have learned, and they, based on their learning, how they can contribute further. I guess these are the things that we need to do moving forward, inshallah. Okay, thank you. So I mean, I would like to thank everybody for your all hard work, especially the Ta'lim person, Dr. Mira.
5 more months, Prof. Don't worry.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and then of course the others lah. I think the rest, and I think you mentioned about your education 4.0 team, and for all the kuliah. Of course, I mean, everybody I think has been very active. The reason I think that Lihanna mentioned that those who are get low SFS will go to CPD, because CPD has to take good care of them, motivate them, nurture them, you know. So I think that is the issue lah. Inshallah, I think, and of course, one thing it was mentioned, but I think we need to deliberate further, is this mental health, mental stress, not only for students but also for lecturers. Like some lecturers are now saying that now they have after the exam they have mental stress to mark the paper now, because the different format, different, you know, handwriting, different, I mean, so many different formats. Not like before. Before we just receive a normal answer scripts, very easy, you know. Now we receive many format, and I hope that all the files are there, not missing. So those are the issues. But I think with a good engagement, I hope that the lecturers will keep. Just to share with you a real story, and so that I hope that it will not repeat, is last semester, last exam, suddenly one lecturer gave a mark of 0 to one student, and then the student said, no, I submit the paper on time. Okay, so the lecturer went back and checked. It happened that it went to the you know what, the junk. It did not go to the right email. So true enough, the student submitted, okay, but it went to the wrong place, hijack in the middle. So that's why I think lecturer has to really look at the database. If the student's name is there, the paper is not there, you have to communicate. You know, these are the engagement, the communication. Make sure that things can be settled. You know, don't assume, don't prejudge, because maybe the lecturer just assume that, oh, the paper is not there, therefore the student did not submit. But maybe something happened. You know, I think this is where this new culture come in. You have to engage the student, talk to the student, ask the student, did you take the exam? I did not find your paper. I mean, that sort of thing, you know, without, of course, sacrificing the quality, inshallah. So we hope that, we pray that Allah SWT will make it easy for everybody, inshallah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prof, for the concluding comment. So I think that's it for today. Alhamdulillah, we have come to the end of the webinar, and I can truly say that it is a very interesting sharing session. And inshallah we can do it again, but with a different moderator. I hope lah kan. So let's end our session with Tasbih, Kifarah and Surah Al-As. Thank you everyone for joining, and have a pleasant weekend.
Subhanallah.
Okay, thank you panelists, Prof. Faris, Brother Amir, Dr. Lihanna, Dr. Mira. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Bye. Okay.
Assalamualaikum. Happy marking, everybody.
No. Okay, bye.
You send me back to reality.
Okay, bye.